Hey everybody, my name is Rob Satcham and I own Feedbackwrench. We do web design, we do marketing, and we help small businesses get more leads. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to dive in here a little bit to talk about if you have a business like a remodeling company, an accounting company, I help a ton of accountants, or anybody that has a longer sales cycle. How do you embrace and increase your close rates? So how do you increase your conversion rate on your website for your remodeling company or your home building company, or maybe you have an accounting company or financial planning, any business that's not immediately transactional. So not junk business, not driveway seal coating or anything like that. I want to talk about how do you increase your conversion rates. And I'm going to give you about 5 things here that will definitely transform your business. And this is a big deal because you'll be using ad spend. You'll be spending on Google ads, Facebook ads. You'll spend time with SEO and all of this stuff, and it does nothing. We have to build a better mousetrap, and I'm going to show you how to do that. The first thing that you need to understand is that when it comes to your website, there's 2 things that you want to do. You want to build a high converting website, build a better mousetrap, and then you want to actually generate traffic for your website. Building a better mousetrap is about conversion rate. How do you get people to actually take a step with you? And then the second thing is it's like once you have a farm, you have to buy seed for your farm, and you actually have to generate and bring more mice to the mousetrap. Well, the number one thing that you can do to increase your conversion rate is to embrace a healthy sales relationship and a sales cycle. There's a good pace to a great sale. Good sales don't happen immediately, just like a good marriage doesn't happen in one day. So you can't be the type of company running ads on a website that's just running around going, will you marry me? Will you marry me? Will you marry me? Will you marry me? You have to embrace a good pacing. So in a way, if you think about it, what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring people from being a stranger to a visitor to a lead to a customer. That's what your website and all your digital marketing, the entire footprint is trying to do that. I'll get into exactly how to do that. But the first thing is to embrace that there's a pace. Again, a good relationship would be a first meeting. And then you'd have a bunch of dates. And as you get to know each other, you'd have a proposal, and then you'd have a marriage. A good sale is the same way, where they're curious about how you make their life better. Then you enlighten them to why you are Yoda, and you have a way forward where their problems get solved. You help them thrive or survive, and eventually they make a commitment to either learn more about you, book a consultation call, and go to the proposal, or maybe download a lead magnet or whatever that is, or even just keep reading. And then eventually they'll become a customer. But these are the 3 stages that they need to go through. If you do not embrace this as a remodeling company or anybody with a longer sales cycle, you're a fool and you will drop sales. So you have to think about how do you optimize for this. But let's talk about how do you actually move people through so that they increase the conversion rate. Well, the number one thing that you're going to want to do is to make sure that you have a framework that you work through, okay? So again, here's the foundation of the framework of if you do these things on your website, people are going to be more likely to convert with you. And then I'm going to talk about how do we stay in front of them, because that's a huge thing. One of the biggest things that people don't understand is that a good decision doesn't get made in a moment. You have to embrace this process. Well, how does the process look? You have to have digital assets in place. You have to have videos. You have to have blog posts. You have to have an emailing. There's basically a marketing funnel and a sales funnel that we want to implement here. But you have to have content and you have to have information that help people become enlightened as to how you actually work to solve their problems. Because in 2022, and particularly for a more sophisticated customer, there's a lot of messages coming at them. They need to know how you help them, and they need to think about it. They need to do their due diligence. They want to know, how do you do this? You make these claims, that's great, but let's put some meat on the bone. So I'm going to move quickly through this. Number one, your website must have, this is all about how it looks. Your web footprint needs to have a good user interface where it makes sense. People know how to navigate your website, your Facebook page, your Instagram, your TikTok, your YouTube. You have to have good branding. I don't overemphasize that, but it should look nice. There should be an authentic look and feel. Your website should not be filled with stuff that does not represent your customer, your region, or you. It shouldn't be all stock photography. It should be clean and responsive, working on all different devices, laptop, desktop, iPad. From there, we have to say, what does it say? It has to have good, clear, and concise messaging. Okay, people don't read websites, they skim them. Also, it needs to be customer-focused messaging. Your words and what you say should be about them, their problems, and what they want, not about you and your features. It's about benefits for them and how you make their life better. Lastly, I think you should invest in a brand scripting where we unbox, we talk about benefits, we talk about the stakes, we talk about create a one-liner, we show authority, and we show compassion and empathy, that we understand where they are. There's a whole system that I have, and that's a different video. Lastly, you have to have meaningful calls to action. Where is this relationship going? Are people going to be booking a consultation? Do they have a lead magnet they can get? What does that look like? Then from there, you have to have customer reviews. You have to have customer testimonials. You have to have examples of your work. Not only should they be on your website, but they need to be in your remarketing campaigns, which I'm going to get to in just a second. Then last, you have to have all these deepening steps, right? People are going to lean in and find out and do their due diligence. How is it that you work? You don't want to overcomplicate it, but you have to give them a little bit of information. And the more assets we create for you on your website and in your digital marketing, the more likely you are to move people along. So what we have here is anything that creates a deepening step. That could be all sorts of social media posts. Then we have video sales letters. There should be videos that basically have a sales call with people. And that's essentially what I'm doing right now. But you're going to want to have a video sales letter set up, which is the same conversation you'd have on a phone consultation done on a video on your website in your remarketing, so that people can be in their underwear watching your stuff in the middle of the night once they're finally done with things. It shouldn't take a consultation for them to understand what you really do. Last, you want to look at lead magnets, and then anything that builds authority. And we want to not only have those on your website, but in your remarketing campaigns, okay? And so we'll hit on that. Number one, that's the framework that I would recommend if you're trying to increase your conversions. The first thing is to embrace a healthy sales relationship. The second thing is to use this framework. I probably just gave you 10 different things. I could go on a list on each one of those. The third thing is, initially people come to you through an ad or through content, and I'm going to show you how to do that. But then you have to come to them, okay? So in this, I have a framework, and this is what I actually use. It's from what I've actually noticed working with all of my clients. So the core of good marketing, the way that you intersect with people, is that you want to use search. And then what you want to do is they come to you through paid search advertising on Google Ads. So that's if I'm looking for a remodeler near me, or an accountant near me, or a real estate bookkeeper, or whatever that is, we would set up a Google ad. You would pop up in front of them. They would click on you. They look at your website. Then chances are they are not going to convert. Chances are 95% of the traffic on your website is going to go away, but a whole bunch of them are looking for a solution. Why else would they have searched it? So we use what's called remarketing. And remarketing, there's a handful of foundations to this. Essentially what we're going to do in the remarketing campaigns, if we go way down here, is that number one, we would want to go on Google display ads, so that the people that have been to your website, we create an audience out of them. So if they've been to your website through an ad or whatever that is, we create an audience in Google, maybe for 90 days. So if I've been to your website for 90 days, you're part of this audience in Google and in Facebook and in LinkedIn and Pinterest. And essentially what we'll do then is on Facebook, Instagram, we will run ads to people that are in that audience. And that allows you to get to this 8 to 15 touches. One of them are Google display. If you've ever been on a news website and you see an ad, we can do that. And it's very inexpensive. That's one way to do remarketing. Another way to do remarketing is on Facebook and Instagram. If they've been to your website, we can create and do a great lead magnet or download where people can get some information or just have good calls to action. Another thing that you'll see, this is an example of the sales letter, right? The idea is that you can have a video conversation with people and allow them to book with you instead of making them call into you and have a consultation. The other thing that you'll see is that there are YouTube bumper ads that are fantastic. You can create bumper ads that are very simple that would run, and it would only run to people that have already been to your website. So the core of good marketing right off the bat is that people are going to come to you, and we want to make sure that we get in front of them and command market share by using paid search advertising on Google and on Bing. Then when they hit your website, we need to come to them with information and stay in front of them so that you're top of mind, and also give them opportunities to take a step with you. That's number 3, is to focus on remarketing in general. And by using remarketing, what's going to happen is that they're going to have other opportunities to come back to you. Because here's what usually happens. You know this. I'm supposed to get an accountant. I search accountants. I hit 3 or 4 websites. Then all of a sudden I have to get back to work and I don't take an action. Or maybe I filled out 2 or 3 contact forms. Then I go to work. I come back. I eat dinner with my family. I put them to bed. Eventually I sit downstairs in front of my smart television and I have YouTube on. And boom, up comes the Feedbackwrench commercial that reminds you that we would love to to help you and serve you. That's a great remarketing. Then the next morning, I go through my morning cycle, and all of a sudden I grab my phone and I check Instagram, or I check Pinterest or TikTok or whatever it is, and all of a sudden an ad pops up there. And maybe it's an ad that just reminds them of who I am. Maybe it's an ad that has a lead magnet involved with them. But no matter what, that's kind of the foundation of what is going to help increase your conversion. So let me dive into this, the next thing. So if we were to just recap again, number one, embrace the healthy sales relationship. Don't get over eager. Remember that good pacing happens. Number two, use a high converting website and use this framework on my website. Number three is to focus on remarketing and coming back to them. And the next thing is to make sure that you have a clear header. So on your website, you should have a very clear setup where what you do, where you do it, and the main problem is just boiled down, very simple. And there's an image that really embodies what it is that you do. So essentially you need a hero section with calls to action right away. People read this in a Z fashion. So they're going to see this as your logo. And then as they move across, you see calls to action. And this is schedule a tax analysis. Schedule a tax analysis. And then the second one is to call them. So a Z fashion happens here. You need to make sure that that works, and then you have a good hero section that it has very strong calls to action. All right. The next thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you list out your value propositions. Okay. Talking about what it is that they actually get when they work with you, that's going to tremendously increase the chance that they work with you. So make sure that you do statements and explainers of how they actually benefit when working with you. The next tip, and we're moving fast through the rest of this, is that your website and everything should show a guide of what are the 1, 2, 3 steps of doing business with you, so that they understand what the process looks like. If it's a fog to them about how they do business with you, it's going to be a mist by the time they're ready to take action. Show them what it means so that you have a connect meeting, an analysis, a strategy and scope agreement, and then an implementation. You want to show them what it looks like when they do business with you. The next thing that you're going to want to do is deeper in the site, put all your text. Everything on the beginning of your site should have very simple messaging, very clear, and it should be easy to see and easy to use. And then another thing that you're going to want to do is work as hard as possible to show your reviews. Okay. Your Google reviews, your Facebook reviews, your testimonials should be on there. And what that's going to do is it's going to show why you're worthy of trust. So the last tip that I have, and I hammer this all day long, but this is really the linchpin. If you want to increase your conversion rates, work super diligent at getting more Google reviews than everybody else in your sector or in your area. This is huge. But essentially what we want to do is we want to make sure that we have an opportunity to show your reviews, right? So if I come to my reviews on my website, I actually have my reviews. I have a video showing all of my testimonials, right? On my homepage here, I actually have a section that shows videos of clients. I just asked them, hey, a couple of them are a little more formal. Some of them are just, this is an HVAC company. This is a software company. This is a concrete contractor, a masonry contractor. This is an accountant that I help. I just asked them to quick send me a video, and that's huge. But ultimately, it's the Google reviews that are going to make the biggest difference in your business. In fact, if you take a look at what that looks like, so if I type in Feedbackwrench, what you'll see is I've got 82 5-star reviews. You know how powerful that is. You see that they're all authentic and they're super helpful and they work for you. I'm telling you, if there's one thing that you can do that's going to help you more is when you were to search like accountant near me, when you have a ton of reviews, people know that you're worthy of trust. So right now, look at this. This is how I shop. I see the Google ads and I'm like, oh, those are big nationals. And I come right here. And this is going to invite me in to see what they do. But I'm telling you, if they don't trust you, if they don't see that if you have ample examples that you're helping them, it's not going to work. So here's how you get a review. Okay. This is really simple. I want you to go into your Google My Business app. So first of all, set up your Google My Business. If you don't have your Google My Business, it's google.com/business. Get that set up. And then once you're in there in the desktop app, you're going to grab the URL. Okay. And I want you to grab the URL, and this is going to change. Just so you know, there's some things changing in here, but there's a get more review button. And I want you to take this URL and I want you to email it to yourself, and I want you to save it. And then this is what you're going to do. You're either going to call or you're going to text your customer one by one. Do not automate this. Do this yourself. Okay. And so a text that would look a little bit like this. Hey, Joe, it's Rob from Feedbackwrench. I'm trying to get more Google reviews. I was wondering if you could help me. Here's a link. Text it to them. Then just say, doesn't have to be overcomplicated. Just let people know we're not crazy. That's one way to do it, right? And then wait till the evening and then say, hey, did the link work? And what you'll find is they'll eventually do it. I would do the exact same thing through email so that they have it there, right? So gently, you have to ask. Even better, you call them. Hey, Joe, how you doing? It's Rob, Feedbackwrench here. How you doing, man? Good. Hey, I'm kind of calling for a selfish reason. I'm trying to get a handful of my clients to give me a Google review because it's kind of hard for people to do. I was wondering if you'd help me out, and would you leave a Google review for me? Oh, yeah, I'd love to. Cool. I will text it and email it to you, and I'll just kind of follow up with you and remind you because I know life is busy, but that would mean a ton to me. And all you got to do is just let them know that we did your taxes and it went well, right? Or whatever that looks like. I'm telling you, if you want to increase your conversion rate, your close rate, get reviews, take those reviews, put them on your website, make sure that they're kind of everywhere, and give it as many examples. So we embed them on websites for people. You want to have as many examples as possible that you are doing what you ought to do. And that'll help increase your conversions rate, your click-through rate. Everything will get better when you have these frameworks. Good luck. God bless. And go to feedbackwrench.com if this is helpful.